Men don't settle for the best option. They settle for the option that is available when they are ready. There is some truth in this. Modern relationships are very transactional. People have more choices outside their immediate circle. There's an illusion of abundance. No matter how great a woman is, there's always someone like her you can meet when you are ready. However, oftentimes when men say they don't want anything serious, they only mean I don't want anything serious with you because I don't like you enough to invest in you. Men have higher sex drives overall and will want to satiate that with minimum effort. There's just not as much incentive as there used to be. Men used to get married for extremely practical reasons. Regular access to sex, someone to handle the overwhelming amount of household chores, to avoid judgment from parents, etc. Most of those pressures have been eliminated. Dating sites mean access to casual sex and very short-term relationships is greater than it ever has been, and even if you suck with women, porn seems good enough for most. Things like dishwashers, washing machines, Roombas, microwaves, and Grubhub have made taking care of the necessities of life much less time-consuming, such that you can take care of yourself pretty easily without needing someone else to help you. And being single has been destigmatized in society to a large extent. Pretty much the only reason to be in a long-term relationship as a man is if you can't handle being alone and need constant company, or if you want to have kids. Some men are perfectly comfortable being alone, and maybe I'm super off base and will get a lot of pushback for this, but I truly don't think the majority of men actively desire kids. It's something they do for the woman to make her happy, and of course, once they're in the picture you can't help but love them and want to take good care of them and be a good father. But it seems to me for most men being willing to have kids is something you need to do in order to get and keep a wife, which is the actual goal. Whereas it seems for most women getting a husband is something you need to do in order to have kids, which is their actual goal. I think the majority of men would be perfectly okay not having kids if their wife, partner also didn't want them. Then on top of there not being a lot of pressures actively pushing you in that direction anymore, there are active negatives pushing you away. Most relationships aren't very healthy because most people aren't well-adjusted adults. Most relationships end and most marriages end in divorce. I'm guessing somebody who wants to get into a relationship primarily because of the stability and companionship is very disheartened by that reality. Why get into something for stability if it's doomed to end? That's the opposite of stable. Expectations around romance have changed. It used to be enough for a man and woman to be physically attracted to each other and generally get along. Now both genders seem to expect their partner to share a lot of common interests. Unfortunately, interest in hobbies and careers is still heavily gendered and overlap is smaller than almost all of us would prefer it to be. So many women's dating profiles have things like America's Next Top Model and books like 50 Shades of Grey as their only media interests. I get that it's truthful, but is that supposed to make men interested in you? What would you and I even talk about? The only men who are going to swipe right on you are interested in you purely for your looks, which probably isn't super healthy for either person. The same goes for men who are only interested in fishing and hunting. Putting a picture of you holding the fish you caught on your dating profile isn't winning any women over, my dude. Money is also tighter now than it has been in the past. Relative wage growth has been stagnant since the 72nd. And while feminists push for equality, and women are earning the same as men barring promotions and raises in high-level corporate culture, and potentially even more in the future considering current graduation rates compared to men, a lot of women still require men to make significantly more than they do and be providers. This is an unrealistically high expectation based on the same traditional gender roles feminists claim to be opposed to. If you're not willing to date down in income if the man fits your qualifications in every other way, then you're not actually a feminist. You want to be taken care of and you want to reinforce traditional patriarchal gender roles. This is fine, just be honest about it. And don't turn around and get mad at men who express a desire to find a traditional wife that will stay at home, cook, take care of the children 100%, and be loyal. I think gender roles are bullshit, but people are allowed to pursue them personally if they want to. Anyway, point is, I think more men would be more interested in dating if a huge financial burden wasn't expected from them by default. Not to mention the future possibility of child support for a kid they never wanted to have in the first place, or alimony from a divorce. Relationships are financially risky for men, but generally financially rewarding for women. I always pay for the first date because you can't get away with not doing so in today's culture, and I don't really care. But if a woman doesn't at least offer to chip in something, or doesn't offer to pay for the next date, I consider that a huge red flag. Too often dating feels like a transaction, where each party is trying to get more than they are willing to give. A woman thinks her time, attention, and access to her vagina are precious and uses them to barter. She thinks a man should pay for her dinner because her presence is intrinsically worth something. Men think spending money on a woman doing favors for her, and giving her compliments is worth something, and that the payment should be sex, that sex is something she needs to be convinced into. Does nobody else see how toxic this is? Where's the mutuality? Remove the sexual element. Who does this with platonic friends? I don't expect my best friend to pay for my food in return for being graced by my presence. I don't expect to bribe my friend into playing a video game with me by buying shit for him. I'm not going to barter for access to your vagina. That's gross as fuck and feels a little like rape to me. If you're not attracted to me, why are we wasting each other's time? If you're attracted to me and enjoy spending time with me, there's no logically or morally defensible reason I should pay for everything, since you're already getting as much out of the interaction as I am. This is what your average modern man feels. I do want to be in a relationship, but mostly no. The reasons I give myself for not wanting to be in a relationship when I feel like not wanting one are: 1. Dating is not fun. Putting myself out there when there is no guaranteed upside doesn't seem like fun to me. I would honestly rather have an arranged marriage and just be able to go on with my life than be forced to seek out some sort of Disney version of love. 2. True love exists. It has to be made. However, over time, I just don't care enough to seek it out and go through all the years of hurt and disappointment it entails in finding and molding yourself to it. It's just not worth the hassle, especially if the hassle might lead to me being humiliated countless times. 3. I have better things to do, especially when the things I enjoy won't possibly humiliate me. I don't see the upside. When you're in a relationship, you're afraid of losing it. I am too preoccupied with my own endeavors to keep the attention of anyone. 4. I like solitude. It's really hard for me to get lonely, and if I do, I just take a walk in the park during the day when people are about, and that's enough socializing that I need. I am an introvert and people literally drain me. 5. Love is not static. It requires endless worry and upkeep, and I would rather not have that stress. I am too involved with myself to care enough to try to make someone happy. Truthfully, I don't think I can make others happy, not because I am depressed, but because most of the things I must thoroughly enjoy are solitary and thus boring to others. I do have friends, but the enjoyment I derive from being with them is less than the enjoyment I get by being alone and doing the stuff I like to do alone. I just want to be left alone and be allowed to be happy in my own right. I don't need another person to make me whole. 6. Not an incel whining about the world. Why don't women adore me? I hate women. Women are the future and I'm cool with that. Incels are just projecting their self-hatred onto women, and anyone with any sort of self-awareness can see that. They're baby men throwing temper tantrums. I can't discern whether a woman likes me as a friend or romantically, and I've ruined too many friendships by guessing that they are interested in me. For me, once I tell a woman my true feelings and I'm rejected, I can't remain friends. The rejection is too painful. It's like a splinter in my mind, leading either to rage and bitterness or a pathetic sort of sulking. I need to break things off completely and forget about my feelings and move on, do my own thing. Taking that risk, that leap of faith, just isn't worth it, and yes, I am totally aware that I am romantically repressed. But I choose the middle path between rage and depression, individuation. The times I really want to be with someone often leads to me feeling like shit. That feeling of wanting to be with someone and the pain and sadness thereafter has to lead to a cycle of negative reinforcement. And humans, like all animals, are pain averse, so it is only logical that we try and stop the hurt, which in my case is romance. 7. I am content, fulfilled, and happy. This may blow your mind after all that depressing shit, but I am content, fulfilled, and happy with my life. I don't seek out romantic relationships, but if the possibility comes about, then I certainly won't turn it down. I am happy as I am. But if someone sees me and wants to try to share their life with me, I certainly won't stop them. Nothing, in fact, could make me happier. I am just happy as I am and don't see a reason for shaking things up. The happiness and contentment I have found have been a struggle, a long struggle, and I am not going to blow that up for just some fleeting desire, some mindless urge that will ebb in a few weeks. If you want to know me, then make your intentions known, otherwise I am not coming down from my fortress.